For the last 2 or 3 years, pretty much every tech company on the planet has been in this frantic race to ship AI features and integrate LLMs into their codebase as fast as humanly possible. And I watched this happen in real time. We saw this massive wave of companies replacing their entry-level devs with Cursor and Claude and essentially just brute forcing thousands of lines of AI-generated code into production to see what sticks. So I want to lay out where I think the fallout of this is headed to hopefully help some of you figure out what to actually do with your computer science degree right now. I think the era of move fast and let AI write it is about to hit a massive brick wall, or at least it's going to start causing catastrophic failures, because we pretty much saw this huge trend of developers acting as prompt engineers, just generating full stack applications and hitting merge without really understanding the underlying architecture. Like, they see the code works in a local environment, the tests pass, and they push it. But I think companies are starting to realize that AI is incredibly good at writing code that looks right, but is fundamentally insecure. And I think most senior engineers are getting really tired of waking up at 3 a.m. to fix a subtle memory leak or a massive security backdoor that some junior dev's AI assistant confidently hallucinated into the main branch. So this means the companies pushing all this AI slop are either going to get wiped out by massive data breaches or get forced to pivot to hiring people who actually understand how to audit systems. So I can see the just use AI for everything bubble starting to pop as the security flaws get exposed over the next year. The generalist developer, I'd say, is actually becoming a massive liability in software right now, because AI is simply better than you at breadth. It can write a React component, spin up an Express server, and connect a database way faster than you can. However, where it really struggles is simply just understanding the context of vulnerabilities, going deep enough into a specific domain to actually understand why a specific authentication flow could be bypassed or how a malicious prompt could inject code into a database. Because think about it, when you want to secure something really important, you really can't rely on AI. For example, if you want a really secure payment gateway, you can't rely on AI to write the authorization logic because it trains on public GitHub repos, which are full of terrible, insecure code. Or if you want to write secure embedded systems, you also can't rely on AI because you have to triple check every single memory allocation to make sure there isn't a buffer overflow. And let's just say you're doing something like cybersecurity. Do you really think AI can replace a specialist penetration tester? Or what I'm trying to say is, do you really think companies are going to trust an LLM to verify that their LLM didn't write malware? And I think if you say yes to that question, then you don't really know how deep a lot of these security flaws actually go. So as a student or any developer right now, that's where you can come in, because the only real moat left is being part of the cleanup crew. I think in the world of AI, you need to pick a lane within computer science and go deep enough that you can look at 500 lines of AI-generated code and just feel when something is wrong. You need to be the person who comes in after the generalists, make a mess, and actually secures the building. And I think a good sign of going deep in this domain is being able to make things that test your fundamentals just at the top of your head without any help. So if you're into security, you should be able to build a basic firewall from scratch. If you're into backend, you should know exactly how to secure an API against rate-limiting attacks without just importing a random NPM package. Because if you can get to that point where you've specialized so good that you have a baseline competence to spot the bugs that AI misses, then you'll stand a great chance with getting a job. But the problem with computer science right now is that schools are still producing generalists. They're teaching you how to write code, but they aren't teaching you how to break it. In the upcoming years, interviews are going to get a lot more focused on verification. But what I think people are getting wrong is that they think the standard leak code interviews are just going to get harder. But this style of interview was never really about finding the solution anyways. All these problems have been answered online for the entirety of leak code. But what I do think is changing is that companies are going to start adding more practical auditing interviews. I think more companies are going to sit you down, hand you a massive pull request written by an AI, and watch you try to find the security flaw. And so that's a completely different skill than solving leak code questions. So I think you need to start doing both. Keep doing leak code, work through the NEET code 150 as early as you can so you can think under pressure. But you should also try and practice reading code. And I don't want that to scare you. It really shouldn't be you auditing enterprise software. You can literally just ask AI to build you a complex login system, and then spend 2 hours trying to hack into your own system, find your gaps faster than anything else. Okay, this one is probably the most optimistic prediction that I have for the future of computer science. I think the whole CS grind is about to get a lot more fun, which I know a lot of people are going to disagree with, but in my view, as AI takes over the boring parts, like writing boilerplate, HTML, or helping you learn the syntax of Rust, what's left is really the fun stuff. The whole industry is basically turning into a massive game of detective. Instead of just writing boring CRUD apps, you're dissecting complex systems. And the only way I can argue this is really that you need to have like-minded friends, because when you're doing CTFs, capture the flag security challenges with people you like, it really stops feeling like a grind. Like staying up till 3 a.m. trying to exploit a vulnerability in a test server with your friends, in my opinion, that's pretty fun. So this is honestly my biggest piece of advice for computer science moving forward. Find your people who are curious and who want to get better and who actually care about how systems work under the hood. Because if you have that, you really don't even have to force consistency. It just kind of happens. And also on the topic of fun, I would say try and look at all this AI stuff not as a threat, but just as endless opportunity. Because the barrier to breaking and building real systems has really never been lower. You can spin up environments and test security flaws faster than any generation of CS students before you, and I think the students who genuinely get excited about that and run with it, those are the ones that are going to have a really exciting few years ahead.